Hi everyone, it's me, Nikki. Welcome back to my channel. This is my March wrap-up. This is the second time I'm filming this because I was trying to edit and it wasn't working. So this is going to be more pared down than that first time. I read... where is it? Oh, fuck. I read 9 books this month. Most of them were on audio. The first book I read was The Traitor Baru Cormorant, which is the first in a series. It is about Baru Cormorant, who lives on a little island with her mom and her 2 dads, and then the Empire of Masks shows up and colonizes her island, and Baru is found out to be really good at math or numbers, and she goes to the school, she becomes an accountant, and then is like, I'm taking it down from the inside. So then she's sent to this place with all the duchies to keep up with the numbers, except stuff happens while she's there. So the Empire of Masks are anti-LGBT, but this book is not. There's torture. I don't think it happens on screen. There is murder and death of characters. I don't know if I can't remember if that's on screen, on page either. It's not a dark fantasy, but it's not like Legends and Lattes, like a cozy fantasy. I wouldn't say it's a happy book, but it's not like a sad book. It's just there are twists and turns, and I did have to reread a couple passages when something happened, because I'm like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Should I have seen that coming? So, yes, I enjoyed it. Excited for the series. She does not get any better. She becomes a monster and a tyrant, so I don't know what the 4th book is called. Next, I read The Gathered Glory, which is book 7 in the Unicorn Chronicles, the final book. I was so excited to read it. I read it in one day. It was a bittersweet ending. Not necessarily happy for everybody, but the luster didn't explode, so that's great, although it's very tense for a few seconds. Characters do die that you have grown to love and enjoy. I have grown to love and enjoy throughout the series, so I did cry at the end. It was very sad, but I want more, basically, in that universe. Maybe it'll happen, because those, for the longest time, it was just 4 books, a quad, and you couldn't find the 4th book anywhere. And then Bruce Coville got the chance to basically re-release and rewrite it and break it up, and that's how we got 7 books. So next, I read In Between by M.J. James, and with this, I finished the /R fantasy on Reddit 2022 bingo. I read 25 books. I was so excited. That's the first time I did that. This is a self-published author, and this is about Alicia, who's a single mother to her 8-year-old son. I said 6 in the other video. She's autistic and asexual, and in the beginning, she gets a call from the school saying her son's disappeared. And apparently this has happened before, and it's weird because she goes to tell her boss she has to go, and he's like, okay, you're fired. And I'm like, but it's her son is missing, theoretically. Like, why would you do that? And then she goes, he can't be missing because every time I come down there, he's there. And again, that happens. And then the school goes, oh, it's probably because you're autistic. And I don't know if they would do that, but then I don't have kids or work in a school, so who knows? And then Alicia goes to find the kid's father, Kenny's father, and turns out he raped her 8 years ago, and it completely changed the course of her life. The rape is not shown on page, but it is mentioned multiple times, specifically in the beginning of the book, not so much as it goes on. And then another guy named Sadar shows up, and he goes, yeah, your son's an elf, half elf, I'm an elf, the guy who raped you was an elf, and he was the king. So he's missing, the king, so now your son needs to come to the in-between, which is where the elves live. And Alicia's like, you're what? And then Kenny does some magic, and she goes, oh shit. And Sadar wants to take Kenny by himself, but neither Alicia or Kenny are okay with that. And then a wild chase happens, and Alicia keeps trying to run away from Sadar, even though he's trying to help. And she's like, oh yeah, we'll just run away. And he's explained to her multiple times that if Kenny does not control his magic, every elf will be able to find him, and then they'll probably both die. So she keeps running away. There are a couple deaths in here. And eventually they do go to the in-between, which isn't really explained. There's not a lot of world building. Kind of wish there was some more of that. What else? And then Sadar tells Alicia, and it's not as easy for her as it is for Kenny, but he tells her what to do, and then she doesn't do it, and she gets, like, whatever. Sometimes I don't like, sometimes she's pretty dumb, but other times she's cool. So I did enjoy it. I'd like to see more in this world, so it would be expanded upon, and I'd just like to learn more about the world. And I do like that when Kenny is king, he's called King Kenny and not King Kenneth, but whatever. Next I'm going to talk about Maniac, the Bath School Disaster, and the Birth of the Modern Mass Killer, I believe it's called. It was an ebook. It's adult. I did not rate it because it's a true crime of some guy whose name doesn't deserve to be remembered. He was mad that nobody in Bath took him seriously, or I believe the author calls him a narcissist at some point. He thinks he should be respected, but he doesn't act respectfully, and then he thinks the whole city's against him, especially the superintendent, I believe, of this school, which in 1927 was a modern school in the Midwest, and he blew it up with the sole purpose, it says, of killing people in the school. And he killed 38 children and 6 adults. He only got half of the school. The other bombs did not go off. And this is still the deadliest school massacre in U.S. history. So it talks about Bath, Michigan, and his name's Andrew Kehoe, and his family, and how he got to that point. And then it also talks about Charles Lindbergh. And I was very confused at first, but then you find out that when this happened, it was all over the country, but then Lindbergh flew around the world or whatever he did, and it got pushed off of pretty much everywhere except Michigan. And people from all over the world sent help and money and everything to Bath, Michigan. Bath still has like a little statuary thing for the remembrance of the people whose lives were lost. But yeah, it's interesting that it was essentially forgotten about until Columbine happened, when I believe, I don't know if it was in Bath, but a newspaper in Michigan said, but Bath knows what this is like because this happened in 1927. So people are talking about it more. I found it very interesting. and I'm glad I read it, actually. So, and these are all ebooks, audiobooks. I'm not going to put the pictures up. I don't really have time for that. I apologize. Next, I read The Dragonette Prophecy. It was a 9-hour audiobook. It is middle grade, but it's pretty dark for middle grade. Characters do die. They're not pleasant deaths. And it's about 5 baby dragons who are part of a prophecy to stop this whole war. Unfortunately, one of the eggs breaks, so they have to bring in a ringer, so to speak, a rain wing, who they think will suffice. And yeah, so you got a mud wing, clay, sand wing, sunny, a sea wing in tsunami, a night wing in starlight or starflight, and then the rain wing is glory. The adult dragons who are taking care of these dragons are fucking awful. They do not treat them as children. They treat them as pawns in this game. Like, Clay is the big dragon. And so they think he's going to be the fighter, but he's a better fighter when he's not stuck in a goddamned cave, when he's in the air and can, like, heal himself with mud, which he finds out as soon as they break out. So, yeah, because they don't know anything about these other dragons, and I'm like, why didn't you get this? The adults in this are stupid. I don't like them. I like the baby dragons, and the next 4 dragons. This one is about Clay. It's like from his point of view, and the next 4 books are about each of the other ones. And then there's even more after that. So I'm very excited for that. I enjoyed it, even though the adults were really stupid. And they're not nice. Anyway, next I read Ringworld by Larry Niven. This was an 11-hour novel, science fiction adult. This is a classic sci-fi book from the 70s. And it's about 2 humans and a cat-like creature, a Kazin, who are asked by a puppeteer. Pearson's puppeteer, and they are called that because they were found by a guy named Pearson. And the puppeteer, they're asked to go to this ring world because the puppeteers don't know what it is. And they live out in the back of beyond in the galaxy, and they've been around forever. And they don't know what this ring world is. And it's older than them, and they're like, what the fuck? So they go to this ring world. It's literally a huge ring in the middle of space. That is a world. People live on it or have lived on it. And that is interesting. One of our main characters is Louis. I didn't always like him. Then there's another one, Tila. Again, I didn't always like her, but there's a point to that, and she grows up as the novel goes on. It's a bit misogynistic at times, but it's the 70s and science fiction. What do you expect? What else? So I liked it. I've got the sequel lined up. I think there's only 5 books in the series. And I believe Ringworld was the first one. So there's not a lot of info dump at the beginning, but I think the books after that tell you a bit more about the universe and Earth since things have happened. I also read A Psalm for the Wild Built, which was only 4 hours, novella by Becky Chambers. I liked it. The main character goes by they, them, and they meet a robot that they didn't even know existed anymore. And they just go on a little windy adventure and talk about life, and it was a cute little story. I quite enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll read the second one, but I still want to read, I think it's called the Wayfarer series. A Small Way to a Dark Planet, or whatever. The other books by Becky Chambers. So next was Little Thieves, 13 hours fantasy young adult novel by Margaret Owen. it's the retelling of Goose Girl. Basically, it's like Goose Girl happened, and this is what happened afterwards. It's about Vanya, and she is a thief, and she's stealing from the rich, and then she steals from the wrong person and makes the wrong god mad, and she's cursed to return the things she took, including whatever she took from Princess Giselle. And I liked it a lot. I gave it 5 stars. I liked it more when like all the characters sort of started coming together and meeting, because Vanya and Giselle both had shitty lives and they didn't see it, because Vanya was like, oh, you're a princess, how could you have a shitty life? But you know, they all win in the end, basically. And there's some body horror and mentions of rape, I believe. I would say body horror because somebody transforms into a monster. So that part sort of reminded me of Bloodborne, because there's like a full moon and they transform into a big ass monster. So it was weird, but I liked it. Next I read Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. 10 hours, urban fantasy adult novel. It's about Peter Grant, who is a constable, and he wants to be on like murder squad, but like his friend Leslie is going to be, but he's not. He's going to be on like desk duty, and then there's murder, and he has to stand guard basically until other cops come, and then he talks to ghosts, and then a wizard shows up, and then he's the junior wizard in training, and he just talks to river goddesses and vampires and this evil poltergeist type thing. This one definitely has body horror, specifically for the face. And there's the death of a baby and death of other people. And I did like it. I didn't always like Peter. He's supposed to be young, and he always was like lusting after Leslie and other women, and how beautiful they were, and he was so turned on. And I'm like, that got annoying after a while, but I could forgive it because the mystery of this poltergeist was so intriguing. I wanted to know where it was going to go. There's also a dog in it named Toby who can find magical things. So, and that was it. I keep seeing this other one on my call pile, but I read that in April. So that was it. Yes. My March wrap up. My throat is wrecked. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.